Good morning, gamers, and welcome back to the ANZ Hearthstone Open presented by Blizzard and AEL. Today we'll be in the last legs of the qualifying competition and we're heading across the ditch to showcase our New Zealand representatives. I'm Mendrix, and joining me as always is the Wandering Bard. How are things, mate?
Doing good, Mendrix. Pulled up better than I would have thought for a second straight day of Hearthstone action. I thought that maybe yesterday would have taken out, more than I could afford to spare, but it turns out that the promise of good card games is all it takes to get me up in the morning. And I mean, as you said, this is it. Like, if you're not going to show up for the last stage of our qualifiers, then when are you going to show up? Right after this, it's just the finals to go, going straight into our top 16 from here. So I'm just eager to give away those last couple of spots and move forward to that very exciting climax of the Hearthstone Open.
Definitely good effort to make your way up here, of course. And you know what my way of actually powering myself this morning is actually getting myself a McMuffin. That's how I managed to get myself up in the morning, get ready for everything.
All
and
right.
just to let you know, all of our highlights are brought to you by McDonald's Australia, so make sure you catch all of our Macca's I'm loving it moments after the show on AEL socials, and check out their limited edition quarter pounder range with fresh twist of lettuce and lemon, or throw out some mouth-watering bacon. And also, if you feel like your internet is feeling a little bit lackluster, why not upgrade with Mate and Internet Mobile? Throw into the chat hashtag Let's Be Mates to be in the running to win 2 card packs valued at $3.95, and make sure to check out all the options to upgrade your services with Mate and Internet Mobile. And I've been checking them out. I'm actually thinking about making the switch myself, to be perfectly honest. What about you, Bard? How's your internet rolling? Is it hitting the mark as it should?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the internet has been out more often than not lately, but I think that's just because of repairs going around the area. I can't really blame the service carrier for that. But look, cost of living's going up lately. This is a fun recreational esports cast, but
exactly.
When the real world intrudes, I could probably afford to have better, cheaper internet. I'll have to take a look myself.
There you go. Well, we're going to be jumping into it soon, and we do have our friends King Viking and Pistol stepping up to the plate. Now, what's interesting about these guys here as well, I think we should be just jumping straight into it as well. I think they're ready to run, and they seem to be the case there. I believe the bans have come through. I believe for Pistol, he's not going to have access to his mage. On the flip side, King Viking has actually gotten rid of the rogue. Or actually, not King Viking, Pistol's gotten rid of King Viking's rogue. So that means he's only going to be able to use the hunter and the warlock, and these are very quick decks. We might be in for a very quick one.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with the mage banned out, right? Like, I think that's a very smart ban from King Viking, because you've got two quite sort of aggressive decks in the Hunter and the Warlock, and the Mage deck has just proven pretty good at shutting these sorts of things down. It must be said, this is not Quest Hunter, right, that King Viking is bringing. This is a Face Hunter deck. We were talking about how we hadn't seen that of late.
OG Face
exactly.
Hunter.
Like, we're just because we complained about not seeing any more Face Hunters yesterday, now one shows up. So if you have actual honest to goodness Face Hunter without that extra reach from the Quest, and you have Imp Warlock pretty straight up and down, not even the Curse extension that we saw yesterday, you do not want to face Skeleton Mage. That deck is your worst nightmare. And by having the rogue banned out by Pistol, you could probably anticipate that was going to happen. You would be left with no good matchups for the mage. So King Viking basically forced to remove that, but that does mean that Viking will still have to deal with the rogue himself, which we've seen be, I want to say it's like the highest win rate deck. I have not actually got the open long statistics in front of me, but it has been so dominant when we've seen it in play Mendrix.
Yeah, it has been really good, this Miracle Rogue, especially in the competition sense. It doesn't have the best stats in the open ladder, and I think it is, partially due to the fact that you do really need to think through sequences, understand which way that you want to make a roll. But when it does get to that higher levels of play, which of course is competition, it really begins to shine. We've seen it showcased time and time again. Everything seems to be relatively standard as we are making our way into turn 3. As you can see, King Viking is just continuing to load up on those imps in usual fashion from these imp warlocks that we've been seeing running around and causing havoc. We can see the rogue has been revealed. It was a shaman beforehand, but of course the masquerade has been lifted, and these gnolls are once again generating value like they always do.
Yeah, this gnoll came out almost like too early to get the full value, but it's hard to ever say, oh, I'm disappointed to have my super early game 3-5 rush that can just basically act like a board clear. It's certainly a real obstacle for this imp deck, but this is not the worst thing that can happen, right? This is the benefit of banning out the mage deck. It can only be so bad. The rogue deck, these are the decks that people are playing right now. They do not have the kind of board clear or the kind of defense, right? And yes, the rogue deck can burst you out of nowhere, and I've seen that happen a couple of times to these aggressive decks that go up against the Miracle Rogues. You feel like you're winning the race, and then they just summon a stealth like 16/16 Edwin, and you just kind of die. But there is a point at which you can comfortably say, I'm far enough ahead, and more so than something like the Beast Druid that we saw yesterday, or the Token Druid, this Warlock deck can actually kind of spike its curve a little earlier, right? Like, there's something to be said for the fact that if you don't interrupt this deck, it goes even faster than it normally does through interaction, because you can start doing things like just committing Imp Circle into Vile Library. And we saw the different Warlocks steal a couple of games yesterday with this location.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, the amount of just general value you can generate if these imps can stay alive long enough for the Vile Library to really get its pings. And of course, there were scenarios where it looked like, oh, about to run out of gas, but some big commitments at certain points, realizing that maybe perhaps the board clear is not there, not really the board clear, perhaps the removal of these big minions not the case, has allowed people to actually get some wins on the board with Warlocks, when in some scenarios you consider them perhaps not getting that win. As you can see, Pistol is doing a good job of keeping that board clear, wants to make sure the imps aren't going to be running a Havoc. It also does bring out that Necrolord Draka as well, with a nice juicy 4 attack on that hit to start putting some pressure back on King Viking.
Yeah, Necrolord Draka, obviously this isn't the biggest dagger we've seen, but I do really like what this card does for the deck. It's a little bit more expensive at 4 to play, so it's a bit harder to get like an insane lethal setup with. It's certainly no Edwin, where it by itself kind of gives you the opportunity, if you're a bit lucky, to storm off by just top decking things. But it also, you know, you're getting a 3/4 minion and a sizable weapon out of it. It's just a great value play, which in a deck where like you would be vulnerable if you had any fewer win cons than you already do. It's so important to have some of these cards that are kind of decent on their rate, whether or not you're like going for a 2-turn really impressive lethal off it, or just doing what we are doing now, which is fighting to control the board. That being said, King Viking, we haven't actually seen Imp King Ratham come out in a while, I feel like. And so now that he's here, normally I would say this is 90% of the way there for the Warlock deck, but, you know, perhaps not, given the current board state. Depends really how many more imps you can put into play to fuel this next Vile Library, because there doesn't appear to be that much more gas in hand. There's another Vile Library for sure, but we're missing that Impending Catastrophe that you normally use to reload on imps, and there just aren't that many imps in play to fuel the cards you already have.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see he's throwing down that Okani as well. I imagine it's probably going to be a spell counter just to make sure everything's okay in that sense, or perhaps a minion. Didn't get the opportunity to see which one he chose that moment in time. I'm having a quick check to see right now if it was what it was.
Minion.
No, that's it. Oh,
it's on
minion counter. There we go. Yeah. Beautiful in that sense. So, that being said, King Viking actually had a fantastic Imp King Farm, was actually coined out and infused on turn 5. So, definitely
can't get much better.
Very straight. Yeah, it is literally as good as you want the Imp King to be at that point. You can see it is generating value. Pistol's down to 12 life. He's using a fireball to actually clear away more life total as well to get rid of at least that point, or get rid of the Voidwalker and bring things down. He's cleared the board, but at a very big cost to life. And the other thing to take into account, there's not much gas left for Pistol as well on the other side. 2 Sinstone Graveyards, which are nice, but you need the cards to play with it. At least we're at the point where we do get a lot of mana, so perhaps if an Edwin can come through on that next turn, perhaps things can turn around for Pistol, but he's going to need a pretty good card draw on the next hit. King Viking, though, looking very comfortable. He's going to life tap. I mean,
and that's wicked. That's about the only thing you needed, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I needed there. He's going to go for the extra little buff in the back end as well. I think he hasn't got enough to play. You know, he's traded away the Bartender beforehand, so he isn't going to be playing that. But of course, he's still going to get the benefit from the Vile Library. So still piling on that pressure.
Yeah, getting to find that circle, that shipment when you had 2 Vile Library activations ready is game ending, really. You can always hope for the best when you're playing the Rogue deck. Like, it's one of those comfort factors of picking this deck up, is that as long as Edwin hasn't been played yet, you can always have that insane turn. But even though we potentially dredge into it here, I don't know if the remaining mana is available. You would need something truly nuts here, because you're going to die on the crackback from your opponent. Not just like, it's not just a matter of like, will the Edwin be big enough? And yeah, it doesn't, unfortunately. You have to play the Blackwater Cutlass now, and that's not a preparation, so the game ends on the spot. And I mean, I think that the critical thing that we saw there, right, at least from the Rogue's perspective of, well, why wasn't it fast enough that time? It's the locations again, right? Yesterday we saw almost every Rogue player just happen to have that Sinstone Graveyard on turn 2, or at least in hand ready. And when you get that down in the early game, the fact that again, like Necro or Draka, you can make the first Ghost charge just for tempo, just to have like a 3-3, 4-4, 5-5. It's stealth, so they're not going to take it out with some demonic assault or whatever other interaction they have, and you're going to get to trade that off like your nulls, and that'll help you control the board, and you have another bit of value to essentially double the amount of threats you get from one of your big storm turns later on. When you don't have that play early, I mean, you drew both the cards, they were in hand, but there's just no good window to play them against such an aggressive deck after that.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those scenarios where it needed to be down a little bit earlier just to sort of control the pace of the game and keep that Imp King down. I think we were talking about it yesterday, that they seem to be like weeds, those Imps, right? You need to pull them out nice and early, otherwise they'll just cause an absolute muck on your lawn. Unfortunately, in this case they did cause that muck, and it does mean that there's going to be one up for King Viking for the time being. Just needs to win now with that Hunter, and we'll be able to walk away with that first place qualification.
Somehow I feel like we've flashed back almost to our very first game of our first event of the season, which I think was the other time that we've gotten to cast Face Hunter, and the game was stolen away on the spot. I thought I'd sort of somehow misread the life totals. That spelled collateral damage coming through to mop up like 24 damage in one turn through a board of very weak minions. So this Face Hunter deck, even though we haven't really seen it played at all, it more or less has been usurped in the meta by the slightly different 40-card Quest Hunter variant. It's sort of a similar philosophy, extended due to the sort of, that's what the power of cards like Quests do, especially Quests, because they are always present in your opening hand and they do so much to change your incentives in how you play. It kind of just takes this archetype and makes it look completely different, but you can still play this style of Face Hunter, and it does still have some special stuff that none of the other decks right now are running. And I hope that it pays off here, just because I do love to see a variety of decks succeed. And it would be nice to prove that this hyper-aggressive slant the meta appears to have gone on in the last week or so has been, really convincing so far this weekend.
Absolutely, and to match that sort of, I guess you could say, velocity, Pistol has brought out the Druid as well, understanding that things could definitely wrap up very quickly. Well, you know what was the Druid? I thought Pistol does have a Druid. But he tricked me. I didn't read the cards. He tricked me. This is the ultimate trick. This is the ultimate trick right now. He's true. I would have thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be the Druid actually this time around. I thought it made sense, right? I saw the Druid icon. I'm like, the Druid makes sense, all right? And the reason why the Druid makes sense is, of course, the aggro Druid is actually one of the strongest ones on the opening ladder market right now. That's also what Pistol has available. And you think, hey, you're going up against a Face Hunter, you might as well have yourself one hell of a minion set to actually combat that. But Pistol
you've convinced me, Mendrix. It could have been the Druid.
It could have been the Druid. Has actually opted in for the. I know. Stop throwing me off. Okay.
All right.
Because I want to talk about Pistol now on the Rogue. I'll swap him back.
Yeah, me too.
Back to the Rogue. And he's got the nulls up in place. King Viking's got a very wide board here, but of course it is lower minions. I do like the what's in hand for Pistol here. I think he's got a lot more options when we do get in towards those next level of turns. So I don't know if he's just going to be dead just yet. And it looks like King Viking might be running out of gas unless some crazy extra card draw.
Oh no! Okay, we do kind of look at the. I was about to say, you do need something pretty dramatic, but we have like the dramatic curve-topping play actually already charged up. This is this deck's version of Imp King Reform, more or less. That Twin Bow Terracoil coming down, there's double Wild Spirits available. This is like no doubt the best card in your deck, besides maybe collateral damage in very particular board states you could have doubled up, right? Because not only are you going to get 4 Wild Seeds, you're going to take 2 sets of, I want to call them time counters because of the equivalent magic mechanic, but you are going to awaken a bunch of Wild Seed Beast minions very, very quickly with that double cast, and just the board presence that'll generate. I mean, it's not good. This deck isn't going to go as far as the Quest Hunter does. Like, by definition, that deck basically doesn't run out of gas. We can say however much damage you can get, that much damage. Oh, now this is tricky now, right? Because you almost want to play. You almost want to play Aralon first, so you have even more Wild Seeds that you can then crack open with this double cast. But King Viking is resolute in the Hunter's commitment to just pressure, saving that mana so that we can fire off the steady shot. And that does help your mana go the longest way, right? Like, if you are playing one of these aggro decks where you start to run out of cards for real, you do want to make sure that you look a couple of turns ahead and maybe start weaving in some hero powers as your hand size ticks down, so that, when you run out of them, you're not just left, with one steady shot a turn. You've been steady shotting and maximizing your mana for the last 3-4 turns.
Absolutely, yeah. It definitely, you can see all of the pressure now really is on Pistol now. Could be dropping down to that second place very quickly in this scenario here if King Vikings is just able to close it out. 29 HP, has a very wide board. They're all the potential for a wide board, and the fact that those Dormant Spirits are about to pop. But Pistol is fighting back there. He's going to use the Extortion, the Sinister Strike. Does have a few more options there. Another Shadow Step coming in. Wants to get that extra minion in hand, so we'll drop that down again. The Serrated Bone Spike is also going to do that just to kill.
This is going to be a huge rocket knife, yeah.
This is going to be a big knife, yeah.
My only concern for that is, compared to the other win conditions you could have, is that King Viking is unfortunately about to crack open like a taunt, right? So it's very risky when you're this far behind on the race to try and interact with your opposing minions using a weapon, whereas if King Viking isn't trying to set up lethal with this Stag Point Wild Bow that's just being created off the Stag Spirit Wild Seed, then you could easily still be controlling the board with that rather than your minions' bodies. But if you can survive this turn as Pistol, I guess at least you have a Feral Spirit you've filched into your hand. So there is the very rare Taunt available for this Miracle Rogue deck, which normally does not run. Don't know how far that's going to get you though, because the life total is now so low that you're just well within range of Steady Shot just killing you over the next couple of turns. And King Viking can, if you really want, just sit back and focus on not dying at all in any way while that hero power does this work.
Yeah, sometimes you can just park the bus and wait for the fact that you are ahead, so just steadily win the game.
Perfect bit of sports terminology there. I couldn't think of a better metaphor myself. Hopefully we got a lot of soccer fans or hockey fans in the chat.
I mean, when you're ahead, right? All you need to do is just put all the people on defense and go for and just let the time wear down. In this case, the time is literally going to be that Steady Shot. As you can see, down to 6 life now. Pistol needs to make a miracle happen. He is using the Miracle Rogue. He's going to throw out that Wicked Stab as well, just to put that quick damage and of course deal with some big threats there.
Okay.
So he's still going to put that down. I mean, that's down to 4 now. So I mean, 2 Steady Shots is enough to finish this off. He's going to get that.
Yeah, I was about to say. Normally, I would say, well, it's fine to stab that minion because you're about to put down your taunts, so really, you're taking a hit to your face, but you're protecting your taunts. But yeah, against Steady Shot, you're like, well, now I only have 1 turn to win the game, tops, and... Okay, yeah, I was about to say, choose the second target. I'm assuming one of the targets is the face, right? Yeah, you actually have no turns available. So the face hunter with that direct burn damage easily out. Look at this race to the bottom, at least in terms of kill speed, right? We've gone from decks that take 20 turns to win to decks that take 5 turns to win. Now, we're really pushing that limit, just pedal to the metal. Face hunter outspeeding the Miracle Rogue now. Miracle Rogue actually getting done back-to-back by, for that coined out Imp King is a bit of an outlier, but that Face Hunter deck looked comfortable racing.
Yeah, it was quite happy to just jump onto the pedal, put all the gas that it needed at that point in time, and just roll straight towards the end finish line. And that's exactly what happened here. King Viking coming through for a very quick Queen Slip onto Pistol. But that being said, Pistol's not out of it just yet. I have to note that both of these players have qualified here for the top 16 and top 8 rounds. So congratulations to King Viking for actually walking away with that first place seed, and of course the $50 on that mix as well. So very lucky with that one there in that sense of things. And I will just check to see, did anyone throw out a hashtag Let's Be Mates in chat there? Did anyone give us a little bit of a thing there? Let's have a quick look to see who threw that out.
Someone we're quite familiar with, Mendrix.
Ooh, it's our man himself. Vexenite is the winner of our Let's Be Mates winner card draw. Congratulations, of course, for qualifying and also getting that 2 card packs valued at $3.95. So Vexenite, very glad to see you guys here watching and obviously cheering on all your friends there. So thank you very much for popping in for that one. But of course, that means that we're pretty much done here with that one. And congratulations goes to King Vikings there. Of course, like I said, Pistol has an opportunity to get some revenge in the near future, but won't be happening anytime today. But Bar, do you have anything you want to add to this before we do just close the stream out for a little bit?
I'm just amused that Vexenite was the one to come through with the giveaway win there. Some people just can't stop winning Mendrix, and it'll kind of be the question of, can any of these players, as you mentioned, both these players qualified to our champion stage. They are the top 2 players from New Zealand, so that match was for seeding and for the first, second place prize distribution in this qualifier. But we're at the point now where we can really look only a near distance ahead, 1 week to our finals.
2 weeks.
And Well, sorry, yes, 1 week off, and then our finals because of DreamHack.
Mm-hmm.
See you all at DreamHack, but yeah, the finals is like the next broadcast we're going to have after today, because there is one more qualifier bracket that'll put in our last 2 members of our top 16. Mendrix, it's the women's qualifier for all of ANZ later on, and so we're going to be selecting 2 more players. We'll bring you the finals of that qualifier around 2 p.m. AEST, I believe.
That is correct. You're on point this morning, Bard. So pretty good with that one there. Well, guys, with that being said, everything seems to be out in the open there. I hope you have a fantastic lunch, and we hope to see you back here at 2 p.m.